My name is Amy Scott, and I'm the director of the documentary Sheryl about Miss Sheryl Crow.
And I am Sheryl Crow. I am the Sheryl of the Sheryl.
Scooter, her manager, who is featured in the film as well, had seen my previous film about Hal Ashby, and it resonated with Sheryl and Scooter. And Sheryl had done a Words and Music with a company, Gunpowder and Sky, and so it all kind of, there was some alchemy there, and that's how it came together.
Yeah, the hairstyles was like a travel back in time. It's funny, digging back through any of that old stuff it's not only emotional, but somewhat cringeworthy sometimes, things you wish you would not have worn on the red carpet. But, in the grand scheme of things, there wasn't really anything that I felt like wasn't pretty honest about who I was at the time. There were a couple of things, some scenes in there that really did show me kind of unraveling, and it's not comfortable for me to watch. There's a scene where I'm smoking a cigarette, which I will have to explain to my kids because they're just like, my 11-year-old still thinks they're called cigarettes. That's such a big, it's just disgusting. And then, but for the most part, there really wasn't anything where I went, well, that was how it was.
I think when you're a star on the level that she is, it's the hits, and it's this, giant stadiums, and I thought it was so fascinating that she was a songwriter and a music maker at a really young age, and a total music nerd, knows deep cuts, liner notes, that's just a very special kind of person that knows these things, and then can play every instrument. So I think there was just this whole arc of her career was really fascinating to me, and that she was the boss as a woman, that she was always the boss and always driving this vision. That's what I wanted people to know.
I think my dad really, had he had the opportunity, would have. He would have loved to have aspired to be, a professional musician, but he did the right thing, which was get a profession, and they encouraged me to do the same actually before I did anything, which is get your degree in teaching so you have something to fall back on. And they just were there all the way through in a very supportive way, even in the worst of times, my calling home and saying, I'm having this excruciating experience and I don't know what to do. And they were there for all of it. So they're a big part of the story. I think it was really vital for them to be in it because they were such a huge part of my story from a really young age. When my manager, who's been with me for 32 years, came to me and said, you have interest in having a documentary done about you, I was really reticent to do that. And after kind of reconsidering the fact that I've been in the business as a woman for as long as I have, that there's a lot of story there that people don't know. I chose Amy because I loved her sensibility with the work that I'd seen that she had done, and I felt like the story that she would tell on my behalf, I guess, basically, would be tastefully done, and she would get what was important about my life. There are probably 4 other documentaries that could have been made from even leftover stuff, but what she chose with her crew, I felt like they had the story they wanted to tell, and it was the most important aspects of my story. And really, truth be told, the hard stuff in life is what brought about the art. And I think every artist will attest to the fact that, I don't know about young kids today, but most artists that I know, there was a reason that they wanted to stick their necks out there to be an artist, to tell their story musically. And there is a whole other life in my music that doesn't get heard at radio. So for people who don't know who I am, but only know me by all I want to do is have some fun and every day is a winding road, that's just the tip of the iceberg. And so it just, I felt like if we're going to tell the story, we need to tell the whole story. And I felt like I had a real safe place to do that with a woman who could understand what it means to fight tooth and nail, to find your position in the business of the arts. And it's no joke, it's not like being a man in the business. And we've come far, but not far enough. And there's still a lot of story there to investigate. So
You're right about it being, it could have gone into 4 different I mean, we could, I was like, this is a 4-part series. I don't know why we're bothering making just one standalone doc, but it's a testament to my team. I mean, this is not just me. Like, I have an amazing producers and an editor and our director of photography. I mean, on set, we'd be like, well, I don't know, maybe we should ask her this question, or we kind of created a family, I felt like, around you with your team, and it became, a good foundation for truth and honesty.
a very strong girl, a very genuine girl, in a way very sensitive and very sweet, but there's a lot of tough in there, which is a good mixture. And that would be my friend Keith. That would be Keith Richards.
Stronger.
I can't even do his voice, but
Right.
yeah, I mean, there's so many things that are full circle about my story. The fact that as a young school teacher, I was in the audience at the Fox Theater when Steve Jordan was in the band with Keith Richards on stage doing Hail, Hail, Rock and Roll, and I was just in the audience. And then you cut to 30 years later, and I'm in the studio, and Steve is producing me, and Keith and I are recording The Worst. And there are a lot of little things along the way that blow my mind over and over, because I'm still, the 8-year-old laying under the piano reading, the album notes to albums that I loved. So, I mean, that's a big part of the story, is not just manifesting, but what can really happen. And Keith Richards is, he's the god.
Well, it's important to me. I'm from Oklahoma, so I've always this was the first film festival that I'd ever come down to, and I was like a lowly marketing intern at Warner Brothers Music in the 90s, and whenever this festival started, and would come down. So I've never had my film come here. It's a really big deal, and I think it's a perfect home for our film.
And South by Southwest to me has always been, it's had a beautiful reputation for representing art and representing music, and obviously Austin, the city, has been such a vital place for the kind of music that I love. But also the documentaries that have come out of here have been really inspiring. I mean, just the one with Towns and
Heart-Worn Highways.
yes, Heart-Won Highways. I mean, it's a great place for this film to be shown, and I hope people enjoy it.